All right, everybody, welcome back to the Crypto Natives podcast. I'm your host, Jake Gallen, and I'm here with another Las Vegas native out here in Las Vegas. I'm here with Sean Kelly. He is the CEO and co-founder of Jersey Champs and also the grand elder of Chibi Dinos NFT. They had a successful launch a few months back. It's a 10K generative project with these little cute dinosaurs that wear jerseys, and they are also led by NBA players. I believe it's 10, right? It's 10 different teams of Chibi Dinos that are led by actual NBA players, which is pretty cool to see that you leveraged the growing trend of the NBA Top Shots, which kind of kicked off this crazy NFT bull run, and then all of the NBA players that were jumping into Bored Ape. So Sean, thank you for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's really a pleasure. I know we've been trying to do this for a little bit. I was looking through your history and I'd been following you for a little bit and we'd been communicating back and forth. And I noticed that you had this jersey company and I'd listened to a few of your podcasts. And then somehow you leveraged what you had been doing previously into this NFT that is doing very well. So before we get into the story of Chibi Dinos and all of your success, can you tell us a little bit about who Sean Kelly is?
Yeah, I'm a 24-year-old entrepreneur since I was a kid, selling candy in school, all that good stuff. And just loved basketball, loved sports growing up. So I really decided to start a business centered around my passions. And I think that's what led to it being successful. But yeah, pretty much just started Jersey Champs in my dorm room and just used guerrilla marketing tactics to grow that brand.
Interesting. Guerrilla marketing, as in walking around campus, getting different people to wear jerseys. What kind of guerrilla marketing? Are you the Bitcoin sign guy who's just putting the buy Bitcoin sign in the background?
I mean, I tried everything. I was cold emailing probably 100 people a day. I was cold DMing on Instagram. I was handing out jerseys. I was making jerseys for fraternities to wear them at their tailgates and parties. Just everything you could think of, because when you don't have money, you get creative.
Yeah, man. I feel you on that. Grew up on the east side of Las Vegas, so if you're familiar with that area. Also, very humbled beginnings. So, Jersey Champs, are you still currently working on it, or has it taken a little bit of a backseat to this ever-growing ecosystem of Chibi Dinos?
It's taken a backseat, but I still work on it. But with NFTs and crypto in general, it's in a bull run right now, as you know. So I've just been taking advantage of that.
Yeah, exactly. Right. When crypto goes up, all of the development takes a little bit of a backseat. And then in the bear market is when everything is kind of built. Were you a crypto native before jumping into NFTs, or were you just very familiar with internet culture and trends of that nature?
I dabbled in it, but not as seriously as I am now. But I definitely had the main coins like Bitcoin, Ethereum, and all that stuff. But now I'm buying weird stuff all the time, I feel like.
Yeah, no kidding, especially with all of these PFP drops. Before we dive into the dynamics of Chibi Dinos, I want to talk about a little bit of the technicals. And this is something that we discuss in the Vegas meetups very often is how do you write a contract? Did you create it on OpenSea through a shared contract? Did you have a development team and kind of went on your own path? Take us through that process.
Yeah, so this is something I wish I was educated on more when I dove into launching Chibi Dinos. I actually posted an Instagram story of basically, hey, I need a developer and someone that can make these dinos. And I ended up giving them 40% of the project, which, in hindsight, that was pretty dumb because they made $1 million. But now, I'm pretty sure you could go on websites and get them for hourly or set price, couple 5-10K or something to make smart contracts.
Yeah, it's really tough. And this is something that I've learned as I kind of build out our own NFT incubator in Las Vegas is where do you find these developers, right? Everyone always wants to ask, like, how do I create an NFT project? And I always tell people, it's actually a much more complex question, right? That's like asking, like, what's your favorite car, or kind of like some things that exist within it. It's very, very ambiguous. So you mentioned that the development team made almost $1 million off of, I believe it was a $2 million successful drop or something around there that I read in the Cointelegraph article that was written about you. How do you go about managing that large amount in the treasury? Does it funnel back into the ecosystem? Does it go towards marketing? What was the immediate direction of that treasury?
Yeah, so it was a 600 ETH mint. 240 of that went to the developer and designer, and then I got 360, which I put back in, I believe 150 of it into getting the NBA players and other marketing campaigns. And we put 100% of all the secondary sales back into the company. So we got about 15, 20 people we pay monthly between the mods and all the staff, and then other marketing expenses and game development.
Yeah, a lot of people don't realize this, and they give a lot of founders flack about these like massive drops, but everything is expensive in the space. Blockchain developers are more expensive than Web2 developers. I'm getting some of these influencers or people interested in the space towards marketing. It's all inflated prices. And so it's all leveraged within the system. How did you go about getting some of these NBA players as team leaders? When I was briefly looking through the website, I saw names like Josh Hart and Shaquille O'Neal's son, Sharif, I believe it was Sharif O'Neal. Was it just like a pay to play kind of model? What did you have existing relationships? How did you channel those that leverage in relationships?
Yeah, each one was a bit different. A few of them I had connections through Jersey Champs just from sending them jerseys. Sharif O'Neal and Kendrick Perkins. So that actually came about because I met this guy named Justin, who was a trainer on the Miami Heat back in the day when Shaq was on it. And he still does a ton of stuff with him. So he actually got me those two connections. And a few of them I just honestly cold DM'd, or I saw that they tweeted like they're interested in NFTs. Like I saw Grayson Allen tweet, I saw Josh Hart tweeting a lot about it. So I just reached out to them on Twitter or Instagram DMs.
And did you have to go through a large amount of training, or were these NBA players very aware of how the ecosystem worked?
Some of them I had to show them how to even set up an Ethereum wallet or an OpenSea, but a few of them, I think it's slowly, getting out there to the point where some of them know what to do.
Just interesting. Okay. And so before I go even more on that, I guess we should just kind of talk about what Chibi Dinos is. In the grand elder way, how would you describe Chibi Dinos?
It's basically an NFT community. Super family vibe. We have in-person meetups. We're always on Discord voice calls. It's just a PFP project that originally started out as like a regular, 2D project, but I think now it's a brand that we're kind of turning it into. We're making 3D ones that are going to be free for holders, and that's going to integrate with the metaverse, the game, and everything. But my main goal has always been the community and just keeping them happy. Because when I was researching successful NFT projects, everyone said that's the most important part.
That 100% is. As somebody, I'm big in historical NFTs, and even though a lot of these have underlying value, you still need a community. And all these different projects have different variations and degrees to what that community is actually speaking of. There's 10 team leaders, as I just mentioned. They all have their own distinct NBA team that is just pertinent to the Chibi world. How did you come up with these names? And is there any meaning to these teams? Are there any of them that are better than one another? Or are they all at an even start?
Well, the generator made the 10,000 dinos. So I actually don't know if certain ones have higher power levels yet, but they're all out there on OpenSea. I'm sure there's some teams with higher power level characters right now, but we have boosts being implemented in other power ups. So that shouldn't be a problem in the future. And then in terms of the captains, yeah, each one represents a team. I created the team names with my girlfriend literally on my couch, just came up with them on the spot. And we just try to make them sound cool. And I think we did that. So
yeah, you actually did. And here's some stats actually that I was looking at OpenSea. 3,600 unique owners, 1,400 ETH traded on secondary sales. And the floor is 0.05, although I think the floor is a very terrible metric in terms of how to evaluate NFTs. Is there the metaverse and this play to earn game that you had mentioned on the website? There's two different variations of it. There was a Primal Hoop, which is a 3 versus 3 basketball, and then Chibi Adventures, which looked like it was kind of catering towards like the outdoor model. Are any of these games built? What is the progress of them, and what is the play to earn mechanism?
Yeah, we're in infant stages. We just announced our partnership with Game On a week or two ago. So they actually helped develop NBA Top Shot, which was super cool. So I knew they'd be a good partner, and they're doing the Primal Hoop game, I believe. So it's still in infant stages. We haven't worked out everything. It'll probably take a few months for that one to drop, and then the adventure mode that's going to take a minute, I think, as well.
And is there going to be a native token to this? What are you earning specifically?
Yeah, we had plans for a token. I forget what we were going to call it, but basically it was going to integrate with the game in some capacity, and we're working out the tokenomics. We're studying what other drops other communities have been doing and seeing what we want to do.
And I know this is kind of the play to earn models in a little bit of a gray area. I just got back from excuse me, there's like sun in my face. I just got back from NFT NYC, and there was a ton of panels on play to earn. And is it a security? Do you sell the token? What are the tokenomics and distribution? Is that a concern within the Chibi team, or how are you going about that approach?
Yeah, major concern. That's why we've been so hesitant, because we want to see what announcements SEC is going to make, or anyone for the matter. Like, I feel like no one's talking about it, but yeah. So I literally have a lawyer on retainer, and I'm so on top of it that I just hired another one, just double check all his stuff, because you can't be too safe with this type of stuff. But what were people saying about it at NFT NYC?
So there was two different panels. There was the play to earn model, and then there was NFT and gaming, where you basically just have NFTs incorporated into existing games and kind of blow out of it. It seemed like most of the conversation was surrounding the drop of how you sell it. Are you distributing the play to earn tokens to owners already? Is there kind of a pre-sale, right? Like if it resembles anything like an ICO of 2017, pretty much they're like, you need to stay away from that. So I think fair distribution is probably the biggest concern. But then and then also the roadmap, if you have some sort of inference that there can be a potential gain incurred, then that falls under the Howey test. But then on a separate note, they're also mentioning that Coinbase and some of these other larger crypto platforms, whether it's an exchange or lobby group, they're trying to create, specifically in the US, a crypto unit that has its own regulatory czar and people that we could talk to, because it's hard to regulate something that of a Howey test that was created nearly almost 100 years ago, before the internet even existed. So there's a few different models, because if we see what's happened traditionally with crypto, especially in 2017, because that's kind of, I think, we're the only like regulatory arbitrage we can compare it to. They only went after like a handful of ICOs. There was probably hundreds of ICOs, and there was maybe less than 50 ICOs that even got prosecuted or had some sort of lawsuit against the SEC. So I think it's almost like when you're speeding on a highway and you're like, as long as I'm not speeding faster than the guy ahead of me, then I might be safe in some resort. But it just really, I guess it really just depends.
Yeah, that's good to know. My lawyers literally have no idea how to proceed with it. I mean, they said we could have a pre-sale, so I'm gonna have to double check on that, because you just said that's not really allowed, right?
Yeah, and also it's been very similar with DAOs. I've been looking into DAOs a lot too, and they're a lot in that gray area where if the pre-sale has any sort of gain incurred, if it's kept by the owners and not in the treasury, there's like some concern there. But then they have it listed of like all these different models, and then the first one is just like, you just don't give a fuck what anybody says, and you just do it, and then you just pay the price later, as long as it's not something super crazy. And I also think the structure of how it's set up is different. When I was reading in some of these DAOs, the way that they release the tokens is its own entity, which is usually created in an offshore account. So there's, again, a lot of the lawyers have no idea what's going on. We have no idea what's going on. That's kind of the fun of it, I guess.
Yeah, no, that offshore stuff is a whole nother world. But yeah, what's your thoughts on DAOs? Because I was looking to start one for Chibi Dinos actually.
Yeah, I think it's the future. I made a Twitter post about this the other day where it seems like the only thing they do right now are just floor sweepers, which, I guess it's an easy way to increase the price. I'm joining a Mooncat Pop DAO, which is kind of a variation of a DAO that has a product, which is also very interesting to see. Which basically, I guess the way you just classify DAO, for those who don't know, is just like a cohort of people who have a spreadsheet. Basically, like if you were, I was in a fraternity in college, and it's just like paying your dues, right? Instead of paying $500 a semester, everyone's putting in a handful of ETH, or you can distribute however much you want for the percentage of the return. I do think it's definitely some part of the future, but I don't think the government's going to be able to keep up with all of these different innovations, right? NFTs is probably like the fastest scaling technology I've ever seen in my entire life. It's literally went from 0 to almost 1 million people in like a handful of months, although I know it has really existed kind of beforehand. So what can you expand on the kind of ideas or thoughts that you had within the Chibi DAO?
Well, I already own some blue chips, so I'm more wondering how it works. So you're basically saying people invest their own money, and then one guy's in charge of purchasing NFTs, and then they get a percentage of the profits.
So let's say there's a DAO. We'll just do even numbers, 100 people, right? Not everyone has to contribute 1 ETH. Some people, for most DAOs, if somebody wants to contribute 0.5 ETH, then they'll get 0.5% of the royalty of whatever it is. Whereas, and I think they usually set like a limitation, right? Because you don't want somebody owning 51% of the entire DAO, or else they can make the decisions for it. But then once they go beyond a few hundred people, it's almost impossible to coordinate. So then it kind of goes towards this like delegative process that's very similar to how our own government works, right? We live in a representative democracy where not every single person is voting. You're voting on a representative who's making decisions on behalf of you. And that's similar to like what's happening with, if you're following the ENS drop from the Ethereum name services, they have there's like 50,000, I think, unique owners. And there's no way you're going to get 25,000 people voting every single time. People just have lives, or people don't care. People are passive holders, whatever it is. So they're choosing like a smaller amount of people that are chosen by the people claiming the airdrops to be their representative for whatever their treasury allocation is.
Interesting. And how are people making these votes? Is it on a website or something?
Yeah, so the ENS thing goes live actually like in a few hours. And in order to claim your airdrop, they had been doing voting the last week or two where somebody was like, hey, I want to be a delegate. And then once you claim your airdrop, then you choose from this list who you want to direct your voting power to based off of the amount of tokens that you can allocate. And I was listening to one of their Twitter spaces yesterday where they're saying if somebody receives like a large amount of votes right off in the beginning, then they put that person down to the bottom because the algorithm's already going to pretty much determine that they're going to win, and they want the votes to be concentrated to other people. And you can still vote for them, but if one person gets like 100 or we'll say 90% of the votes just because it's the popular face, then you're going to get an undistributed balance of who actually should be there or not.
Wow, that's interesting.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying it's interesting, but how with this bear market, I'm sure a lot of DAOs just got kind of screwed, right?
Yeah. I mean, I've been trying to think of like with DAOs, like I said, the only thing I've really seen is them just buying up, like they're a floor sweeper, right? There's a cool cat DAO. I think it's called like Mutant Cat or something like that. And pretty much all they do is just buy like the floor cats and then eventually sell them higher. And then you have something like Head DAO, which was created by Shamdu, where they're going after like the relics of NFTs. I've been more focused on, I want to create like a Vegas DAO. And I've talked with a lot of community members here where we want to do a DAO, but we don't want to acquire just crypto assets. We want to buy like assets that are in the Vegas ecosystem that are popular, but then you can also use those tokens for like social programs and things out in the real world. But once you start diving into the regulatory world of real estate assets and, physical art and things that are regulated under the government, that it's like all, who knows what's actually happening? Do I just go with it? what's the purpose, but I've been kind of just trying to see where the evolution of DAOs go, because obviously you can sweep floors and you can sell it, but I think then you start, we'll use Chibi Dinos, right? If you have a DAO and with this DAO of 50 people buys up all the rare ones, now you're just concentrating the power to 50 people in the community rather than distributing it. And that's kind of like what we've been trying to go against. So
Right.
it's an easy way to make money, but there's just like a lot of social concerns that I have with that as well.
Yeah, and the legalities of that too. I don't even know.
Yeah, it's really cool. But I think at some point here in the future, there's going to be DAOs that exist within metaverses, right? Because if everyone has their own home, like if you watch the meta thing from Facebook, let's say people in this virtual world have, I don't know, they all pool their capital and then start buying VR assets in these metaverses, and you have DAOs and stuff like that, because you're not going to have LLCs that exist in these like virtual worlds. They're all going to be DAOs. So it's just going to keep going more specialized into these virtual worlds. So, maybe the Chibi Dino DAO starts out in the physical world buying NFTs, but then it migrates itself into the metaverse and then has its own tokenomics to it.
Yeah, I love that. That's crazy to think about. Yeah, there's not going to be LLCs in the metaverse. That's a good point.
Yeah, they could try it. The government can try, but as long as we have the older generation governing us that have no idea what's really going on, they don't even know how to log into their Facebook. It's gonna be an interesting world. But I'll bring it back a little bit to Chibis. What has it been like as a founder of somebody who's had a successful drop and trying to build a community? Obviously, we see a lot of this PFP bloat, which is just getting completely wrecked by this bear market. From a founder's perspective, has there been like an immense amount of pressure? What kind of goes on in that day-to-day activities?
Yeah, it's a lot of work behind the scenes. I feel like I made it look easy, honestly, because hundreds of people started their own projects after I did mine and literally told me that they did it because of mine, and a lot of them failed. So it's a lot of work. Like, it's selling out is honestly the easy part in my opinion, but maintaining that community and, building up the project after that is where the real work begins. And, I'm on calls daily, podcasts all the time, and, maintaining the team, doing all this stuff with NBA players. It's definitely a lot of work. It can get stressful at times, but the community that we have right now, like I said earlier, it's a family vibe. So we try to keep it as casual as possible, but it's fun. It's a lot of work. It's pretty much having a real job. Like, it's a full-time thing.
Yeah, I feel you in the same boat. I went full-time crypto earlier this year, and it seems like find myself even more in my room, as we were talking about before we even started recording. You don't even look outside at a cloudy day in Vegas because you're just so focused on everything that's happening.
Yeah, for sure.
When it comes to the Discord, right, that seems to be where all of the NFT migrates. And whether you're a NFT flipper and you bounce between the Discords, or you're a devout community member who is just heavily communicating through these Discords, you said it's a family vibe. How do you go about managing the Discord flow and all these spam bots and having mods? What is that delegative process like?
Yeah, we've had our fair share of Discord stories. So I was so new to Discord. I never used it before NFTs. So it actually took me a while to even figure out how to talk on there and use it and make private chats and all that. But our server got hacked twice now. We just got hacked last week, and we got hacked the day after we launched or something. So we had to manage that. They got in through a webhook the first time. And then the second time, they screen shared one of our moderators and got his Discord code and then hacked our server that way. So that was interesting. And I pretty much just had to hire a team that had Discord experience, because it would have taken me way too long to figure everything out myself. But they pretty much handle all that stuff.
And when a hack like that's happening, it's funny because when I was at NFT NYC, I heard from a handful of like very large NFT projects who have had similar hacks, where one of the mods is taken over, and then they share a Discord link, which then leads to people passing out their seed phrases and getting completely hacked and wiped out. What is that crisis management like? Is it chaotic? Do you have to end up issuing refunds of some sort?
Yeah, so the first time we just got hacked. They didn't do a fake mint link, luckily that time. But they did prune like 40,000 members. And then this past week when we got hacked, they pruned like 40,000 again, which sucks. But they also did the fake mint link, but we found it pretty early. So I think they only got like what was it, 20 or 30 grand, which sucks. We're gonna figure out what we're gonna do for those people. I'm more worried about their seed phrase getting taken, because that would be terrible. But we got pretty lucky because the day before, the same guy got Kaiju Kings. They got him for like 100+ grand. And they got Axie Infinity the day after us, which is crazy. That server has 800,000 people. And these guys are just on a tear. They're hacking like 3 servers a day.
That is insane. There's an immense amount of responsibility. At NFT NYC, I did meet a group of individuals who are working on some sort of like NFT Discord that's a little bit more secure. So we can hope that comes out. But as we know, with crypto technology, it is decentralized and Web3 and gives self-sovereignty, but it's a little blocky and a little 8-bit until we could turn the corner and leverage some of the Web2 stuff. As we know, centralized services tend to scale much faster, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, these guys are savages. They tweet out every project they hack with a screenshot of how much they took, and no one really knows who they are at the moment. So they just keep doing it.
It's absolutely insane. Unfortunately, like there's more hacks that happen in the NFT space than I saw like in the whole ICO bubble, like that entire year. It's like 1 month in the NFT space. It's incredible. But this leads me to another question, right? Because with hacks, they're generally hacking somebody who is very new to the space, right? You're unfamiliar with the security protocols, or what are like common hacker methods. Why do you think it is then that there are so many new entrants into this NFT space? Like, why does this speak to the mainstream so much more than what I had thought was Bitcoin and self-sovereign money, or with Ethereum and having the internet computer, I guess you could call it? Why does NFT speak more to the mainstream?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, I think it's the passion, because you saw it happen with Top Shot, and people are just like basketball. People like NBA, people like NBA players. So they just bought clips that they liked, and they made money on, like, people that got in early at least made a ton of money off it. And that kind of just kickstarted everything, like you said earlier. And the community vibe too. People, I don't think there's much of that in the crypto space with coins compared to NFTs, which I'm not sure why. But with NFTs, these communities, some of them are super tight. I mean, if you have a punk as your profile picture, it's an automatic 10,000 followers, and people take you serious. So it's kind of cool.
Yeah, you can. I think it has a little bit to do with the personification of a non-fungible asset. And let me know if you feel like this is the same. And we could talk about investment strategy as well. When I first got into the NFT space, I realized very quickly that the seller of an asset is almost just as, or if not as important as the asset itself. It resembled a lot of like the sneaker community or the sports card community, where if you're buying a sports card from Gary Vee, that card already has an increased amount of value, because now you're getting it from Gary Vee. And it's similar to the NFT, where now you can see it on the blockchain, and you don't have to take a picture with Gary Vee with the sports card that you have. You could just verify it on the blockchain. Do you feel like the NFT space resembles some of those other clout and flipping communities that exist in the real world?
I could see how that makes sense. Yeah, like if you see, Jake Paul or whatever owned it before, you just want it because he owned it before.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Is there a market for that? Or people buying up what celebrities previously owned?
I think so. I think because what you see now with a lot of these NFT influencers, they have much more power than the traditional crypto influencer, right? With fungible tokens, because with fungible tokens, you can exit and enter at any price that you want with any amount that you want. And with non-fungible tokens, you basically have to buy their asking price or DM them privately and then go through like a private negotiation, or catch them in a bear market and what I like to call WETH season, where you just send out a mass amount of wrapped ETH bids and hope that somebody is seeking liquidity and they sell at a very low price. But that's kind of like something that I've noticed and is really ongoing. And for example, I'll use the Snoop Dogg, Cosmo DC. I probably pronounced that really wrong. If you follow that, where it's supposed to be Snoop Dogg's crypto account, which is probably run by like a bunch of team members. Immediately, once all Snoop Dogg had to do was literally say, "I am Cosmo," and it went from 20,000 to 100,000 followers. And now this guy is sending out, or this person, team, whatever it is, if it's Snoop Dogg, is sending out a bunch of NFTs for free, which then have perceived value because people think it's Snoop Dogg. And so I kind of try to follow those trends. But it's similar with Chibi, right? Where these teams are led by NBA athletes. So I would assume, and maybe you can correct me if I'm wrong, whoever is the most popular NBA player probably has the largest community or sub-community within Chibis.
Yeah, the largest one is Darren Fox. I mean, he hops in the Discord almost after. He hops in the Discord after every game, pretty much. Talks about the game for a bit. So that's super cool, and that's the type of vibe we're trying to build, where people can interact with NBA players, because that's not really a thing. Otherwise, they can't really just reach out to them themselves for the most part, and they get super excited, and that makes me happy. So yeah, we're talking with tons of them now, and we're gonna do something for NBA All-Star Weekend, I think. So it's gonna be super fun.
That is awesome. Does any of this feel like a dream at some point, right? You're watching these NBA players grow up. Well, some of them are much newer and familiar, but right, you're a fan of NBA, and now you're on calls with the NBA and with these players. Does it almost feel unreal at points?
Yeah, like, I mean, yeah, honestly, I used to watch the NBA daily. A huge basketball fan. Now I'm talking to them. They're coming to my NFT events. It's just crazy, like, meeting them. I was at a dinner. I was at Darren Waller's birthday dinner a month ago. He's the tight end on the Raiders. And sitting right in front of me was DeMarcus Cousins, and to the right of me was Al Harrington. And they were like, "We got Sean Kelly here. He's going to speak on NFTs." And I'm like, "Oh my God." They put me on the spot, and I had to like stand up and speak to all of them. And I was literally shaking. I mean, these guys are people I looked up to growing up.
And with some of these athletes, is there an ongoing quench for NFTs? Are they trying to create their own projects? Do they just want to get involved? What are some of the common questions that you receive from some of these superstars?
Yeah, it's in the education phase. I mean, some of them have their own and stuff, but for the most part, they're learning about it, setting up everything right now. Al just DM'd me yesterday looking to start something up, and I think DeMarcus wants to do something too. They just want to learn more about crypto in general, I think, because some of them don't even know what crypto is.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat, dude, trying to educate. And I think we still have a long road ahead of us. Right now, NFTs are just art and collectibles for the most part, and there's some sort of like social signaling, right? If you're in Bored Apes and you're a part of this community with rappers, basketball players, NFL players, DJs, and if you're in the crypto punks community, you're part of like hedge fund owners and crypto OGs. And so all these kind of have, there's like distinct communities, and that's another trend that I tend to follow from that. I'm going to take it back. I know we kind of got off topic a little bit. You mentioned earlier, Chibis is 10,000 pieces, and you want to do a drop again in the future. Do you have any idea of what this potential drop might be? Are they additional Chibi players, or is it something else that's inclusive of Metaverse?
I think we might do an accessory drop where it can boost the power level. And I know for sure we're doing the 3D drop, which is going to be a free one to holders, which will just be a 1-to-1 of your 2D one, but in 3D format. And then, yeah, future plans, possibly the DAO as well. That's what we got on our radar.
I love it, man. Do you have a fear at all, though, that you did mention that it's an accessory, but this is something that plagued the CryptoPunks community with Meebits, and it seems like Bored Apes is kind of recovering now with the dogs and the mutant ones, that you might over dilute the community and also favor some of the existing owners, where you might then price out some potentially new entrants into the community?
Yeah, for sure. I actually didn't know about what happened to punks and bored apes. So basically, you're saying they did a drop and it devalued the price of the original ones.
No. So basically what happened was with Punk specifically, they did a Meebits drop, right? So Punk's was 10,000, Meebits is 20,000, and then they airdropped 10,000 of the pieces to a 1-to-1 Punk ratio, where obviously if a Punk owner, an OG Punk owner has 300 Punks, now he's getting 300 Meebits. So they're basically just gonna dump it on the market, and then you're making the other 10,000 new entrants buy in, right? And so they have to buy in, and it's kind of like the idea of like the rich getting richer kind of idea. And then with Bored Apes, right? They did the I think it's called Bored Ape Kennel Club, that was about 10,000, and then they had the Mutant drop, which is I believe 20,000. Might be a little bit, those numbers might be a little bit off. So now you're introducing, like, you're literally with Bored Apes, you're going from 10,000 to literally 50,000 pieces, and then from Punks you're going from 10,000 to 30,000. And so you might just you might not dilute the original collection of Punks or Bored Apes, but you're diluting the brand name, right? Because you're just introducing more supply. And this is kind of the same idea that a lot of the NFT community got mad about with Top Shots, is that you just keep inflating the supply and it devalues everything else and kind of dilutes the brand.
Yeah, I got screwed on Top Shot. I got in too late. I lost like a couple $100,000. But yeah, no, that's definitely concerning. So I'm gonna discuss that with the team. Thank you for bringing it up.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I still have not done any NFT drop, but I've definitely tried to help, and I try to watch trends that exist, although it is so early. In NFT NYC, and I keep mentioning it, I made a tweet and I said, the one thing that I realized the most is that everybody is just winging it in this industry. We're all amateurs. No one's a professional. Maybe if you were here in the very beginning, then you have a better understanding of the social dynamics intertwined with the financial returns. But at the end of the day, we're all just trying to get this built, right? Shared contracts, private contracts, who develops it? How do we drop this? Tokenomics, pumponomics, all these new words that sound like memes. Mimetic investing, like it's we'll find out through this ongoing bear market if it's actually a bear market or if it's just a correction, with the overabundance of supply, who the quote unquote blue chips are.
Yeah, there's like 50 projects launching a day. It's actually crazy. I was on How Rare and I just couldn't believe it.
Did you ever think about launching on a different chain other than Ethereum? I know you launched, I think it was the spring or early summer. And that's kind of when Solana and Avalanche were beginning to take off. Did you vet any of these other layer ones?
Not when I launched. I didn't even know about Solana or ADA or Immutable back then. But now we've been looking into them just because the past 3 weeks gas was $200. So it was an option. But we just don't want to get it messy where there's NFTs on different chains. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the bridging component to it can be a real pain in the ass, especially with, I've been toying around with Arbitrum, and if you want to remove a ETH and convert it back to ETH, it takes 2 weeks to come back. So there is a lot that we still have to work on.
Yeah, 2 weeks is an eternity in the NFT space.
Yeah, right. Two ETH, your Ethereum is gonna devalue 50% or be up 50%.
Yeah.
As we come to the end of this interview, I'm curious, and this is something that I've been kind of speaking into this existence about Las Vegas and this ever-growing NFT community. I even spoke to Bilal about it on a Twitter Spaces, and it seems like NFTs and Vegas kind of go hand in hand with the hustler economy, the creator economy that exists out here, and just the ever-growing economy of Las Vegas, especially with the Strip and it being moving from a entertainment capital to the experience capital. Have you thought about this idea at all, or do you think that this can kind of become an NFT hub?
I can see it. I mean, right now, I feel like crypto's the biggest in Miami, Vegas, and maybe New York. I'm not sure, but I can see that for sure.
Yeah, we're going to continue growing on. Sean, thank you for coming on. Where do I send everyone to follow you personally, follow Chibi Dinos, and get involved with the community?
Sean Mike Kelly is my Instagram, Sean Kelly 25 Twitter, and Dinos Chibi is Twitter.
Hop into the ever-growing cartoon basketball dino avatars in this world. Sean, thank you for coming on. As I mentioned again, I know we'll probably see each other here in the near future as we all build together this ecosystem and the NFT ecosystem at large. So I guess I have to end this with a good GM or GN from wherever you exist.
Classic.
Thank you.